You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me this morning here at CBT News. I've got kind of a special edition of Inside Automotive. I've got a brain trust here of individuals that are all running high volume dealerships that I know that you're going to want to hear from. It starts with Chris Saraceno, who's Vice President and Partner at Kelly Automotive Group. He's also a best-selling author. We'll get into that in a minute, but also John Roberts, Vice President, General Manager of Roberts Motors Ford, and Jim Henne, who's President of Performance Motors, as well as Joseph Robinson, General Manager of Robinson Toyota. We're so happy to have you guys in the studio. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules here. I know that you're here to shoot some other shows here, and we very much appreciate the time you're giving us. So let me just start off, if I can, with you, John, and ask you a little bit about the Q1. How did you finish Q1? A lot of dealers said, hey, it was a great quarter, but it really came down to those last couple of weeks in March.
Yeah, I'd agree. First quarter was a good quarter for us. We're up almost 30% for the year.
Wow.
And I do believe the biggest chunk of it was in March. Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you think that was driven by and large because of the tariff scare, so to speak?
We've heard a lot of people come in and they're talking about wanting to beat the tariffs and concerned about what the tariff is going to impact pricing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's had a good part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about you?
It was our best quarter, first quarter we've ever had at our dealership for an entire dealership perspective. So we came out of the gates really hot.
Wow.
And March was huge. It was our best January, our best February, and best March ever in store history, all strung 3 months in a row. Hoping April will be, if not, maybe a second best. So it's been really good. We saw a big rush in March as well as I think March actually was our best month in store history.
Wow.
Just came
It's fantastic. Yeah.
But our team is super dialed in. I think it's a mixture of the market being good, but also our processes being right on point.
Sure.
We're providing a great product for our local customers.
Yeah. Good grosses too?
Yep.
Grosses
are
awesome.
good.
How about you, Chris?
Good first quarter, good fixed operations. I think that was our biggest area of improvement in fixed operations. Our Ford store in Florida did well. Our Toyota, Hyundai stores did well. Nissan store, although I know Nissan's had some challenges, we did very well. We did have a challenge with our Stellantis store.
Okay.
But other than that, everything was good.
Right. I've spoken to some Stellantis dealers, and they said that they feel as though things are turning around. Have you seen that to be the case?
I feel like they have the right people in place and looking to work with dealers much more than they were a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How about you, Jim? What did the first
quarter was good. January, February were a little soft for us. We had some dramatically cold weather, some snow. March was near a record month. April was awfully close to a record month. But like Chris said, fixed ops has been absolutely dialed in and killing it.
Wow.
Which that helps.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think fixed ops has been so strong?
We put a large focus on that department starting about 6 months ago. Actually, my wife came to work for us, and she had like 22 years of corporate experience. And her office is actually in the service building, so she's hearing and seeing everything every day.
Yeah.
And we implemented a customer service team. We repainted the building, just kind of dressed everything up.
She was never in the car business before?
No, pharmaceutical world.
Wow.
But she brought in this corporate mindset of
Sure.
things she saw, and it was always a 20 group meeting where bring your spouse to the store, let them walk around.
Right.
She came in and walked around, and now we're changing.
You're doing that wrong. You got to do this better. What's that guy doing?
It is.
Right.
It is
That's
absolutely for the best. And
that is great.
The customer service team is probably the best thing we ever did. We had a bunch of interns actually walking around, handing out snacks to people, and it's been fantastic.
So you owe all your success to your wife. Do you put that on camera, or should we get that?
Absolutely.
It's all because of you, honey, right? So let me, obviously we've spoken so much about this at CBT News, and the industry is on fire right now, and you know where I'm going with this, and that's over the tariff issue. So many people are concerned about this, to say the least, with the tariffs that we're seeing coming out of Trump's camp. What is your take on this overall? And
as we talked about earlier, especially with the Toyota franchise, I have no fears whatsoever about the tariffs. Volvo franchise, a little different. I mean, that's the least American-produced vehicle in the world.
Is it really?
It is, yeah, like 13%. And they're kind of in a turmoil right now. But with the Toyota brand, they keep their inventory light. 30 days are under supply and ground. And with that model, I mean, I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I think you mentioned earlier in the conversation we were having that Toyota is like the most produced vehicle in the U.S., even outside the others, right?
Yes, when you buy a Toyota, more parts and more of the labor on that vehicle was done right here in the United States than any other manufacturer.
Yeah. Now you got a Ford guy sitting right next to you,
know.
so be careful.
I know.
Well, what is your take on that when you hear something like that?
Well, I think it's true.
Yeah.
So I can't really argue that point.
Right.
We're a little concerned about it, but don't really know a lot about how it's going to impact. When you look at the 4 different categories of the tariffs, and not really having all the information about how that's going to affect every particular vehicle. Ford did send a letter out last week, I think it was last week, basically saying that if everything stays as it is, the tariffs will start affecting May production. So this month now, we are in May, we should see how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
I do think they recently said that Trump said that he is going to give us a little grace period as we navigate these things, but again, I think it's back to what we said earlier, and what you were just mentioning is that we really don't know anything.
That's right.
Right now.
It is amazing how we're expected to run this industry on no information, right? Chris,
On a crystal ball, you know.
Yeah.
That's like we always said, just you're in the now. You know, we need to operate. we need to operate with what we know right now, and
there's the customer, there's the
and-
car.
and-
Sell that right now.
take care of business right now, and we'll
Yes.
deal with whatever gets handed to us. Car business has always been legendary for that. We handle adversity very well.
That's right, no
And-
question about it.
And we will.
That's right. Chris, you have a few franchises to worry about there, and a lot
Yes. Well, but I'm also the believer is we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And that they should never, our team should never let us. They should never see us sweating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we should be cheerleaders who say, listen, our best times are ahead of us. We take care of customers. We take care of our team. We do the right things. Good things will happen.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's our job is not to panic. And if we panic, they're going to really panic in the industry. I think so. I think we all have to stay strong in the industry and let them know, hey, listen, we're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
We've gone through other challenges in the past.
That's right. How do you keep the momentum and the enthusiasm among your team during times like this? Are they concerned? But it sounds like they're also coming off of a pretty good quarter. So that
I would say speed of the leader, speed of the pack.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be out there talking to them, letting them know, getting the fingers pointed in the right direction instead of focusing on what they can't control, what they can control. What are you doing today? Who you're going to make phone calls to? Let's look back at your last 30, 60, 90 days, other vehicles in the household, you're making miles. Working people in the service, who are you calling to buy cars off the street? So I think you just keep talking, keep them busy, that they don't have time to think about what's going on.
That's right. That is the key. Yeah.
Just keep doing what we've been doing.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, for sure. And Jim, when customers come in, are they coming in with any kind of concern, like, this car's going to cost me more money?
We saw that in March.
You did?
March, we did have the tariff rush, a lot of questions, but it's kind of diminished already.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's nobody knows.
I know.
We just keep telling people, we don't know. We have a lot of inventory on ground. We've got no communication as far as when things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Not from my region. I don't know if your region has got it, but
Yeah. Are you holding on to gross more?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Selling cars over invoice, or over MSRP? No.
Never did that.
Never did that.
Not a believer.
Not a good way to go.
No.
Same with you, Chris.
Yeah, we're not selling it.
Yeah. And nothing over.
Well, we're Ford, so we're employee price right now. So.
Yeah. And is that working, the employee pricing?
Definitely a big uptick in traffic when that program was announced.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine. And so it sounds to me like you're all pretty much in favor of what Trump is doing right now. Is there anybody among you four that say, hey, I'm against what he's doing? Or are you kind of saying, let's see where this goes?
I wish he'd give a clearer message.
Yeah.
I have a better understanding, but I think he's trying to figure out what to do himself right now.
Yeah.
I think his administration is trying to figure out what to do.
Right. But at the end of the day, do you think what he's trying to do is better for the country, and you guys are willing to hang in with him?
I'm hoping it will make that. That's the hope,
Right.
and I believe he has good intentions
Sure.
in doing it.
Sure.
So we will know probably. I tell you my prediction before. I think by the end of the summer, 80% of this will be away.
Right.
Not at all, it won't all be figured out, but I think you're going to have 80% of it figured out by the end of the summer.
I think it was necessary, and we were talking about it earlier. A lot of these tariffs were put in place back after World War II,
Yeah.
and nothing's changed.
That's right.
And it's put America at a disadvantage in a lot of ways. And like you said, there's a rough patch going through stuff like this, unfortunately. Hopefully it's not a big rough patch and it doesn't last too long. But in the end, if he's successful in what he's won, it should be a good deal for everybody. Not just a Ford dealer, but Toyota and all the others as well.
It's a long-term play that he's doing to bring back production to the United States, so that we can be more more independent as a country in our production and in our in the streamline of the supply chain. So it makes sense. It's a long-term goal, but a lot of times in order to get to something long-term, it takes some sacrifice right now. And I think we're just in the middle of that sacrifice time. But to his point, in a year from now, it might just be something that we talk
blip in the radar,
laughing about, in a little bit.
I think because we're all strategic thinkers, we wish it might have been a little bit more strategic on it and a little bit more planning and with more of a shock and awe thing. But if he would have gotten Canada, Europe, and Mexico behind the scenes on his side and then announced it and said, I already have a plan.
Sure.
And ideally that's not his personality.
No, definitely not.
Go right at you.
It's a wrecking ball.
That's the way you got to do it. So
Right.
we probably might have handled it differently, but wanted the same goal.
Sure. Jim, when we went through COVID and that hit in the middle of March in 2020, everybody freaked out and we thought, okay, the world is going to end here. We're shutting down dealerships and sending people home basically. And all of a sudden April and May rolled around and said, oh, this isn't so bad. This isn't as bad as we thought, right? This isn't like that, right?
Not as dramatic as that, no.
Yeah.
That obviously, we had to furlough, 70 people at our store.
Yeah.
Find every possible loophole we could in our state, because our state, and we were the only state for a period of 45 days that couldn't sell cars at all.
Oh, really?
Oh, it didn't matter where it was.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
They had
They didn't deem you as a necessary business.
service was open, but they had
Okay.
state police going out trying to get dealers a test drive and then actually finding them if they went for a test drive.
No kidding.
It was absurd.
Wow.
So no, it's definitely not as dramatic as that.
Right. But then when you could open back up, you
Yeah, and we played every loophole we could. We were sanitizing cars in my service department, putting people in the loaners of cars they wanted to test drive. So we just worked every angle we could to just keep operating.
it is amazing how resilient dealers are.
Very much. We find a way. We always do. That's many conversations we've had out here about how we're very diverse in figuring up solutions to problems we have. As he says, we're all entrepreneurs.
That's right.
And we also we all work together. Yes, we may be in competition in one way or another, but I mean, none of our stores are really near each other.
Yeah.
Well, except for us.
Actually, there two are, but
we're talking about fixing each other.
But
I had a dealer 20 group here. Mine is 16 stores.
But car dealers in general, they're good people, and we have a great network amongst each other.
Yeah.
So we always bounce ideas off of each other, and I think that really helps us to continue to be resilient too. The networking that we have.
For sure. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about there's four letters that have made a big impact in the industry. Two of them are EV, and the other one is AI, and the other two are AI. Let's talk about EV for a moment. Where are you on EVs? Is this something that it has come up like a whale, just kind of spurred off?
Although, yes.
Yes,
So obviously Toyota, Akio Toyota stood on stage 4 or 5 years ago and pretty much said, we're not going to do this.
Right.
When the market's ready, we'll be ready.
Yeah.
He got crucified for that.
Right. Looking back,
But
now he's a
He was right.
Yeah. One, the guy's a genius because the market is not ready. I had nothing against him. I drove one for a demo for about 3 months. It's a great car. I mean, you have the range anxiety when you're going to the airport, leaving it sit there.
Sure.
But the market's not ready. Yeah. The infrastructure is nowhere near close to being ready for that.
Are customers coming in asking for them?
No. Toyota, I think we've sold 2 BZ4Xs since they came out, which it's been 2 years. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. Even though we see an increase in EV sales over the course of the last year.
And again, that's market specific.
Yeah.
Plug-in hybrids, absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Do you think that'll be the crossover?
I think
together
plug-in hybrid that is absolutely ready to go. And it's just the best of both worlds.
Consumers are coming in asking for those,
As
saying
much as they should.
Yeah.
I don't think they don't understand what a great advantage is, because long term it's less expensive. If you plug it in every night, you're probably going to save several $100s a month.
Yeah,
that's right.
So if it costs you $100 more a month in payment, which I don't even think is that in many cases,
right,
you're going to save that. It's the best price value out there right now.
Yeah, for sure.
A plug-in hybrid.
Right. Is that pretty much what you're finding?
Hybrid for us, Toyota does have plug-in hybrid. They're just not as much as hybrid. So for us, the number one volume, we're seeing a lot more customers move from gas to hybrid. And I think the biggest thing about the topic is education for the customers. And we're all experts in this industry. This is what we do for a living, but the consumers really don't understand the difference between gas, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, EV.
Right.
And so it's our job to really educate them on their different options. And Toyota is taking a full spectrum approach where they're going to build each one of those. And each one of them is designed specifically for a certain kind of customer.
Sure.
So.
Sure. John, are there a bunch of people coming in wanting that Lightning? Is it?
No, we were one of the dealers that declined the Ford EV program when it came out.
You declined the program?
Yes, yes, we did.
Okay.
Strictly from the pro forma they provide us and what our sales history had been, it didn't make sense. Financially, it didn't make sense to get involved in it.
Sure.
We sold a few, but I think, in my opinion, I think they missed the mark on what the market was. Like we were talking about earlier, when you look at a Ford EV was between, say, $60,000 and $100,000. That's just not where the people are buying.
Right.
And I think he said it a minute ago. The sales I think you see right now are force fed. When you look at the incentive levels, I know from the Ford perspective, if you look at the incentive levels on the EVs, people are buying them now not because they want them, but because they make sense financially.
Right.
Because the payments look attractive.
Right.
I mean, when you can lease a guy I talked to, he just leased a Lightning Platinum, which is a $90,000 truck for $495 a month for 2 years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That made sense.
That's right.
To him, for that payment on that truck, it made all kinds of sense.
Right.
But that's what you're getting right now. I think they are force-fed sales. They're sales-based. So in that incentive level, but if those incentive levels aren't there, I don't think you'll see the EV sales that you're seeing.
And I live in West Tennessee, rural area. We don't have customers walking in the front door asking for electric vehicles.
Right.
We don't.
Yeah.
But that's just where we are right now. I think that topic is based kind of where you may be located.
I think in regions it's definitely more popular, especially your ZEV states. The ZEV states, it's definitely more popular, but others, not so much.
And I think, like in my area, I don't think there was much growth in electric vehicle sales. However, in certain areas, I think there might have been great growth. So that's where for the country, we saw growth, but it was probably in those isolated markets.
Yeah.
And it's easy to skew a percentage. When you say like a 50% increase in sales, it's not a big number, it's really have a 50% increase. So.
That's right. The infrastructure's out there.
Yeah.
I have family members that have had, the electric vehicle, and they come to visit me, and they're driving, 3 hours. Yeah, that 3 hour trip is now a 5 hour trip. That's right. They're waiting an hour to get it charged, and then it takes an hour to charge it. And now you got a round trip that's 10 hours versus 6 hours. It just doesn't even make any sense.
Right. What do you think, having said that, what do you think that the industry needs to see or do in order to stimulate or get EV sales going at a great rate? Is it the anxiety or the infrastructure?
I think it's the range. I think it's the range. Yeah. Range and affordability.
Okay.
I don't know who it was. One of the heads of one of the imports said at one time that the sweet spot on an EV for it to be successful is around that $30,000 price point.
Yeah.
And a 500-mile range.
And a 500-mile range, which I think I think that car would sell because that price point would hit a lot of your middle income people. They could afford it. It made sense. And two, having the availability of the charger, because that's the other problem. If without the network, the people buying those cars, a lot of them live in apartments, duplexes. They don't have availability to put a charger in their garage.
That's right.
And that is a problem.
That is.
When you can't, I tell people, if you can't plug it in at home, don't buy one.
Yep.
I mean, really, because
as we've all heard the news in this last couple of weeks, where BYD came out with a new charger program that in 5 minutes they can charge an EV, and it's got an incredible range on it. I think 350 miles or something like that, and that's in 2025. Where's it going to be just 5 years from now? And they're also coming out with a vehicle that's $30,000. So is this? I would imagine dealers are.
What we described.
Yeah,
it's exactly what we described.
They're hitting the sweet spot.
And China did it, and they're And I had the pleasure of interviewing Michael Dunn, who's kind of the foremost authority on all things automotive in China, and he said that we are on an island here in North America that the China or Chinese are selling vehicles all over the world except in North America. So we anticipate that to probably change over time, right?
And that is the main reason why I believe that we saw this big push from our administration to go electric, because they didn't want us to wake up one day and China was importing a $30,000 electric vehicle, and then next thing you know, Ford, GM,
That's right.
all these other manufacturers that have been around forever are now
Not around.
not around
right.
anymore. So
That's right.
I think that was it was more of a chess match to make sure, hey, we need to start building them here and not be dependent on other countries, because one day we might wake up and everybody's driving a Chinese car.
That's right. Hence the tariffs.
And BYD is impressive. And the
Very
cars are
impressive.
gorgeous.
It is. It's a hell of a car.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
direct to consumer.
So
That's
a Chinese car direct to consumer.
That's right.
what could happen if
That's right.
If we don't
Look
band
and
together, lobby, and
Yeah.
make sure we protect our
look
industry.
look at their market share in Mexico.
Yeah.
BYD's how fast it's grown.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And they've got
Jim
dealerships.
Farley was talking about that. If you look at how fast if they got into the U.S. market,
I know.
it's
It would go very quickly. Yeah. Toyota might be worried about that. Toyota's worried about nothing. They're like, we're Toyota.
Figured out.
That's
all they do.
That's the secret concern in the industry is
Yeah.
the Chinese electric vehicle. That is what has generated all of this.
That's right. That's right. Would you buy a Chinese franchise if they came to the
I
U.S.?
said, oh yeah, absolutely. if it came to the country,
Right.
someone's going to do it.
That's
Your
right.
local market. So you look at it and say, hey,
That's right.
if you could take care of customers and
Yeah.
people are going to buy them, and why wouldn't you not want to be the one taking
That's
care
right.
of customers?
Conversely, what's your take on the Scout Motors wanting to sell directly to? Do you have a Volkswagen store?
We do not.
You do not. Okay. But that poses a
I think it's a
threat,
slap in
right?
the face to the
It is.
dealers.
Yeah.
To the Volkswagen dealers.
It really is
Yeah,
something.
it's just
It's incredible that they're taking that route, but they are. The other two letters, as I mentioned, were AI. So today at your dealerships, are you using AI more and more? Do you think it's going to replace people headcount in a dealership? You don't.
No, we use it on the variable side. We use it on the fixed side. My managers, my staff all use it. So every lead that comes into our store, that's answered by AI, conversational AI. Every service appointment, phone call that comes in is answered by AI.
Okay.
She schedules about 400 appointments a month. We do have service BDC.
The AI
Right,
does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right into X time, upsells, maintenance, look
Yeah.
for recalls.
Yeah.
So no, it's not going to replace people.
Yeah.
You need the people there.
Sure.
But I can tell you the efficiency that it creates having it.
Yeah.
Like you just look at an internet department, these leads come in, your BD agents are just trying to engage people.
That's right.
The AI does all this. Every lead's answered in 60 seconds.
Right. And
Text,
24/7.
email.
Yeah.
And probably a better English, more proper. I mean,
Well, it is.
not that they don't.
It's
It's just that
conversational.
it's literally using perfect English.
That's right.
Even someone who's an English major reads and goes, "That's good English."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we actually had people walk in the store asking for Sophie, who's our AI.
And you can customize it. He can be Southern. He can be Northern.
That is crazy. Wow.
I don't believe it's going to replace sales consultants or managers or leaders, but I do believe it could lower some of the team members that we have, especially like in BDC. You may not need quite as many people.
Right.
Because everything's going to
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I could see that you'd have less headcount
Right.
in the future, but it's not going to replace a sales consultant or
Yeah.
a manager or a leader. It's just making things easier right now.
Yeah. And Johnny, you use it in your store?
minimally. We don't use it near as much, but I do agree. I think it's. I don't see it for me replacing anyone, but I see it enhancing a lot of parts of your operation.
Right. Do you plan to use it more in the future?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're looking at it.
Yeah,
We're kind of one of those that's late to the party on some things, and
Sure. And really, when you think about it, it's all about efficiency now in running dealerships, bring more to the bottom line. I think we all learned that through COVID. We can run a better operation if it's much more efficient. And that's really what AI brings to the table, right? I mean, that's to be able to your point, be able to do less or more on less headcount is what it's all about, right?
I mean, I know myself, Glenn Lundy has really pushed me on ChatGPT. So sometimes when I'm ready to write something back to somebody,
That's right.
I'll run it through. And
Absolutely.
Okay, and go, okay, that sounds better than what I was going to write
That's
back.
right. Even if you're going to post something on LinkedIn now,
Yeah.
it says,
Yeah.
"Do you want to run this through ChatGPT?" And it always writes it better than you were going to write it. You know? Yeah, there's no question about that. So, what are some of the things that and I've asked you this before, but for now that the cameras are rolling, what are some of the things that keep you up at night about the industry, either your brand or the market that you're in?
Like as Joe and I said earlier, I think the only thing I would be concerned about if Toyota goes back to more of a volume model, having higher levels of inventory in the lot, losing that front end gross profit. Because again, you go back to 2019. Completely different animal.
Yeah.
I think the average net to sales was, I don't know, 1.2% back then.
Okay.
Whereas now I think it's still 3.5%, 4% average.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it was all volume game. It was triple net losses, move the cars, keep them turning. Whereas now, if they keep doing what they say they're going to do and keeping us at a 30-day supply or less.
Sure.
And that's the only thing I really think about, because that was, looking at that operating profit back then, I still pull those statements out to look at it. And, compare, it's like, wow.
But could the argument be made, because I was a high volume guy, I was like, if there was any light at all, let that car run. Because I thought more units in service, I'm going to pick it up on dealer fee, I'm going to make it on the back end, I'm going to, all of these different things. Is that
a perfect world?
Okay.
More trades.
More trades, more used cars, but not so much though. You're more of the mindset of let's keep it limited, good grosses. Interesting.
Because we're still delivering almost 100 a month, so it's pipeline sales.
Yeah,
Well, and people want what they can't have.
Yeah.
If there's too much of it, it seems like it's
a good point.
not special anymore. So I think that's human nature.
That's right. That's right. And you've got, as I mentioned, a few stores. Which ones are doing better than others in terms of managing that situation?
Toyota does a really good job. Hyundai has some great products right now.
Yeah,
that they have.
for sure.
Ford, we're in Florida, so Ford in Florida, in California or Arizona is much different than Ford in the Northeast.
Yeah,
it's just a different because you have less dealers there.
Yeah,
and you have the ability to take care of customers, more profitability. One of my concerns with the industry is that stair steps. I hate stair steps because I believe it's two-tiered pricing. What happens is you have somebody hit the stair step 10 days beforehand, then a customer comes into your store and they want to know why. Or we hit it beforehand and then it makes the other dealer look bad that the other dealer's trying to take advantage.
Somebody's lying to somebody.
I don't think it's good for the industry in general because someone looks bad, being it's you or the other dealer if you hit it 10 days before.
Because of the OEM, not because of the dealer.
Because of your OEM.
That's right.
And all of a sudden they see a difference in pricing.
Yep.
Even if they're just buying a car outright, they're looking at it and going, well, that guy just hit his stair step and got 70 grand and he's paying $1,500 a car.
That's right.
And now the customers just think, okay, you are trying to take advantage of them or the other dealer's taking advantage.
That's right. That's right. You'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it
done.
go away.
Yeah, for sure. How about you? What keeps you up at night about the industry, if anything?
Mine is exactly what Jim said, because we both are Toyota dealers. It's that it would be Toyota producing or letting the supply exceed the demand to a point where we see a great margin compression. And we don't want to get back to that because me too. I've looked at the previous statements from before COVID, and if you were running 2%, you were doing good.
Yeah.
And now we can be at 4%, which is double. And at the end of the day, when the business has the ability to make a little bit more profit, we have the ability to invest that back into our business, enhance our facilities, have greater pay plans for our people, and attract more talent. So profit's not a bad word. It allows us to invest back in our dealership. So if anything, it would be that the manufacturer produces so much cars that it has a negative impact on our profitability.
Yeah. How about you, John? What are you
Used cars.
Used cars.
That's it. Availability of them, prices of them.
Yeah.
That's probably the one thing that keeps me up at night.
Yeah. Where do you currently get your used cars?
Not enough of them in trades and not enough of them off the street. So we have to rely more on auction purchases, and that's costly.
Yeah.
It's the worst place to buy used cars right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if it's a choice of not having any or having those, then but sourcing used cars is a challenge right now.
Yeah. What kind of a daily supply do you currently keep in used cars?
About 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see that increasing at all?
I think it could be. I could increase it. I mean, if I can.
If you can get them.
If I can get them, yes, I would increase them because I know we could sell more if we had more.
Sure.
I think all of us could, good used cars. They're,
You the same with you? Challenge getting used cars?
No, I think you have to look at auctions. You got to buy out a service department. You got to buy off the street and look at it. So I think you got to look at every single area because you're always the top paying the most when you're at the auction.
Exactly.
And then it's an extra grand plus.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
and then you're already out of the market. You're making very little. But used cars also drives traffic. So
Yep.
you get more leads when you have that. You get more people in the door. So you have to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't be a business. And it also helps fixed operations.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
Let's say you got to look at your internal.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you don't go out and if you're not aggressively acquiring vehicles, whether it be from all those different areas that we spoke about, if you dial it back because you're worried about front end gross, the next thing you'll see is your internal will go down tremendously. And your number one customer for your service department and your parts department is your used car department.
Yep.
So if you're not being aggressive buying cars, you can really cut out your fixed ops. But not only that, but it's also all of your F&I. You know, we have our own dealer-owned reinsurance company, and so every time we sell a service contract or anything like that, that's going to our company. So we're just aggressive on used cars. Front-end gross isn't my biggest concern. I'm more about volumes. I feel at the end of the day with the dealer fees, the service department, and your F&I and own your reinsurance company, feed the beast.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Turn is more important than gross.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you chase gross, you'll lose turn. If you chase the turn, you'll get more gross and then more bottom line as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody in your whole dealership, every department wins when you buy a used car, except for if your front end gross isn't great. That's the only workplace you lose. But other than that, everybody else wins. And if you can get your mind around the bigger picture of every department being successful, then I think you can see the bottom line follow trend with that.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to leave it right there. Chris Saraceno, John Roberts, Jim Henne, and Joseph Robinson. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. This has been very delightful, very informative for our dealer viewers. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Yeah, put it on.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.